the SFLR program has benefited the state of Georgia as a whole because it's not another program out there like it doing the work that we're doing. I've created so many great relationships with all of my landowners that are enrolled in the program. And I look at them as family. I don't look at it as a transaction or a business like, hey, I'm just doing this because it's my job or it's a deliverable I have to get checked off. No, I genuinely want to see you and your family retain your land for years and years or for generations.
Welcome to the Roots to Resilience podcast, a series highlighting the powerful stories and transformative efforts defining the past, present, and future of African American land ownership. I'm Bethany Wilkinson, your host and executive director of the Sustainable Forestry and African American Land Retention Network. At the SFLR Network, we are committed to empowering African American landowners through education, advocacy, and sustainable forestry practices that protect generational land, foster economic resilience, and honor the rich cultural heritage tied to the land. This series will take you on a journey through 8 sites across our network, uncovering the stories, challenges, and triumphs that define our mission. Today, I'm thrilled to introduce Tyrah Littles, Outreach Manager for McIntosh SEED, an organization dedicated to sustainable environment and economic development. Tyrah has been a force of nature in helping Georgia's landowners and farmers unlock the potential of their land through sustainable forestry and agriculture practices. From her unconventional journey from retail to forestry to her heartfelt commitment to empowering minority landowners, Tyrah's story is a testament to the power of community. Let's dive into her journey and the work of McIntosh SEED. Hi, Tyrah.
Hi, Bethany.
How are you?
I'm well. How are you?
I'm doing well.
Good.
Would you please introduce yourself?
I'm Tyrah Littles. I'm the Outreach Manager with McIntosh SEED. SEED stands for Sustainable Environment and Economic Development. I've been with McIntosh SEED since November of 2017. A lot of the work that I do is outreach across the state of Georgia to landowners and farmers with about 10 acres or more of forested land. I provide them with resources to help them manage their land sustainably.
Well, can you share a bit about your journey and how you came to join McIntosh SEED?
Well, my background is retail. I do have a degree in science, but I wanted to be a dentist to start. I had my first kid, so that was kind of delayed. My next plan was to go to dental school, but we could not move. Then I became pregnant with my second child, so it just didn't work out. Then I started working at a retail store, and I kept moving up. But you have to work a lot of weekends, you have to work a lot of holidays, and me as a mom and 2 small children, it just didn't work out. One day, the executive director, Mr. John Littles, he was like, hey, can you come help me for a week? I was like, yeah, I could do a week. Well, you see how that week turned out. So that's how I got into it. He just asked me to come help for a week, but I started to learn the work because, again, nonprofit work was totally out of my league. I thought I was just going in to do admin work, and then admin work turned into like what I'm doing now with SFLR and all different programs. So that's how I became involved with McIntosh SEED. I grew a love for the work, and I grew a love for the landowners or the people that we work with, and just seeing the small impact we make in someone's life. It just means so much to me. It warms my heart every single day. So like I just grew a love for it, and that's why I'm still here after 1 week in 2017 to now 2025.
Oh, that's incredible. I don't think I'd heard that story before.
Really?
Yeah, not the details. That's really special. What I love about it is when we think about SFLR, we often think about the support we give to landowners,
Right,
right?
right.
But what's also incredible about our work is that we create these jobs for people who want to get into forestry, who want to get into land. And so there's so much opportunity and possibility for people who are navigating those career shifts who want to do something different. And your
Correct,
story really captures that.
correct.
How would you say your personal journey, specifically that work in retail, even influences your work today?
That's a great question, Bethany, because I used to struggle a lot with this work. Miss Cheryl, our assistant manager and director, she would always push me to continue with the program, continue moving the program. And one day it just clicked. And my background with retail is customer service. I had to work with people every single day or every day I went to work. So that's the same thing I'm doing here with SFLR or the other programs within McIntosh Seed. It's having those great communication skills to make sure that everything I'm laying out comes across with the landowner as clearly as possible. Because without great communication skills, this work is not going to go far as an outreach manager because I'm doing a lot of outreach to new people. If I didn't have those great communication skills or that background with working with retail or going to college and having to do public speaking, it would be a struggle for me. But I'm telling you, Bethany, as soon as that clicked, and it's like a light bulb flicked off or switched on. And it's like, essentially, I'm doing the same thing. I'm talking to people. However, I'm just giving them the resources. I'm giving them the cheat code, to managing their land sustainably. So I think those two tie hand in hand because I'm working with people, which is what I love to do. And yeah, those great communication skills has taken me a long way.
Yeah. Oh, that's incredible. So, what does McIntosh Seed do? Can you give us a breakdown? What are your programs?
So McIntosh Seed, of course, is a nonprofit organization. It's been in existence since 1998, and they started to strengthen low wealth families in the community of McIntosh County. So a lot of the work they did was a lot of community work to create jobs or to provide stability in the local community. And so a lot of value chain work, a lot of work dealt with community gardens, doing produce for farmers and farmers markets and things like that. But how we got into forestry, Miss Cheryl and Mr. Littles, they talk about this all the time. They would travel to Alabama, Mississippi, and Florida because a lot of that community building work was based out of those three states. And what they would notice while they were traveling to those particular states, first they would see trees, very mature trees. And then if they traveled again, they would see that those trees were harvested and the sites were cleared. Traveling back to Mississippi or Alabama or Florida, they would then see like, okay, well, now there are little trees in that same area. Now they're growing. And it was like, we see that in these communities, but who's bringing it back to our communities? Our communities, AKA minority communities. So that was a question that they had. It's been a learning curve for us as an organization because, again, I don't have a background in forestry. They didn't have a background in forestry. So it's been a lot of educating. We've had to take courses or do trainings and webinars to get an understanding. But I feel like we put into work to understand. And now they tease me and they're like, oh, you're our junior forester. And I take pride in that title because I've worked so hard to understand forestry as a whole. And me having that science background also, I feel like it's benefited me also with learning about forestry. But I do a lot of research and different things like that. So yeah, so we work a lot with farmers and agriculture. We bring the resources to the farmers, to the landowners to make sure they are managing their farms sustainably or if they're managing their land sustainably, their forestry lands.
Oh, wonderful. Such a great, I love that story about just driving along. I mean, and that's so true being in rural America in general. You drive along, you see the timber stands and you see them through these different seasons.
Yeah.
And it's an economic opportunity, a community development opportunity for those who have the knowledge to make it happen. And so the work you're doing is really critical. As an outreach manager, what does your day-to-day work look like?
Great question, Bethany. I'm on the phone all day. every day. It's a lot of paperwork because what I do is a lot of hand holding. A lot of the landowners we do work with, this is their first time doing any of this processing. All they know is that they own land and they know that they pay taxes on their land. So it's a lot of shifting of the mindsets. So we do a lot of hand holding. Day-to-day work is phone calls, making sure I have the correct information, whether we're signing up for the Farm Service Agency applications for them to receive their farm and tract number, or whether we're applying for Natural Resource Conservation Services through USDA, their programming called EQIP, Environmental Quality Incentives Program. So we do a lot of applications and processing. I do a lot of emailing to make sure those applications are submitted. But as an outreach manager, I do a lot of phone conversations and in-person meetings because I want to make the personable connection with them as a landowner. We have trust issues as minority owners. And it's like a barrier between African American landowners and USDA programming. So I try to ease my way into building that trust because at the end of the day, I just want them to know that I am there for them as a landowner. What I'm getting out of this is joy, being a help to them and their family, making sure they retain the land, making sure they manage it sustainably.
Once you identify a landowner who can benefit from McIntosh Seed services, or once that landowner finds you, what happens next? What are the first few steps in the process?
Yeah, so Bethany, we have a flow chart. I created a flow chart a few years ago, and the first step is enrollment. Once I reach out to the landowner, or if they come in contact with McIntosh Seed, I have our enrollment profile that I like to get completed. It gives me general information about the landowner, and their property, the assistance that they're needing, and how McIntosh Seed can help them. So that's our first step. Then our second step is to schedule our site visit with the Georgia Forestry Commission to put our eyes on their property and to see, okay, how would you guys benefit from McIntosh Seed's resources or Georgia Forestry's resources? Do you have timber on your property? Is it clear? Are you wanting to replant? What are your goals? We start out with short-term goals and then long-term goals. So that's our next step, is scheduling that site visit with the Georgia Forestry Commission in partnership with McIntosh Seed. We then want to make sure they acquire their farm and tract number with the Farm Service Agency. They need that number to be eligible for funding programs through USDA NRCS, which is the Natural Resource Conservation Service. So that's our next step, to make sure they are eligible for those cost share funding, because this is new to them. A lot of the landowners and farmers we work with do not have the upfront capital to implement certain practices that may be needed. So we like to take advantage of those programs that are available to them. Then we get them applied for EQIP, and that's basically how we do it. A lot of hand holding in between, because we have to ensure that they understand and they are making the connections like, hey, we are here to help you manage your land sustainably where it could be passed on to generations.
Can you share a specific instance where outreach led to a significant change for a landowner?
Yeah, she wouldn't mind me sharing her name. Her name is Michonne Anderson. Her property is in Long County, Georgia, and she's an absentee landowner, is what we like to call them, because she does not reside in Long County. She lives in Atlanta, actually. But for years and years, she's had this property, and it's over 80 acres in Long County. She inherited it from her parents, she and her sister, but then her late sister passed. And then it was just, hers. So she's lived in Atlanta for a long time, knowing that she owned over 80 acres, but it never registered with her. Like, this is what I own, how can I manage it? So one day, she's also connected to the Berry family farm. They're related. So they kept telling her for years and years, hey, you need to get in contact with McIntosh Seed. She's never done it. But then she finally did. So myself, John Jr., and Ben, we traveled to her residence. I took all the paperwork. I took the enrollment profile. I brought the Farm Service Agency that that application. We did a brief overview of McIntosh SEED, what we offer, how we can assist. We completed all the paperwork right there in our residence. This was our first time meeting, but I knew I wanted to make an impact because she's been sitting on it for so long. If we don't act now, we may go years with this lingering. We did everything right there. And I tell you, Bethany, she has made significant progress since that day. It's only been a year, but she has acquired her farm number, applied for EQIP. She has been awarded EQIP more than once. She has harvested over 65 acres of timber.
Wow.
And now that second EQIP award that she's received, she will replant. So that's what I'm saying. It's like we do it in baby steps, but it's such an impact. It doesn't matter how small it is, because again, I went there. I'm like, hey, I'm on a mission. I'm gonna make sure we get something out of this visit. I want her to know, like, McIntosh SEED is here for you. We're by your side. So whatever you need, if I'm moving too fast, you just let me know. I'm gonna move at the pace of you, but again, it's critical that we get a jump on this now, because if not, this will linger on for years and years, and then things happen. We never know what can happen. So if we can get some planning and progress, let's start now. She's also done her estate planning with a partner attorney, Miss Olivia Smith. Her mom is also enrolled in SFLR. So that's the connections we try to build. But yeah, Miss Michon, has made significant progress. We had a conference recently, Bethany, this past September in partnership with NRCS, and Mr. Tillman came down. He kept saying her name because he's high up with NRCS, and he kept saying her name during his speech. It was just amazing because, like I said, we've only done all of this within a year. Just imagine if we would have just sat on it and took our time. Yeah. She would not be where she is now with the progress she's made. She also has a pecan orchard. We've had the UGA extension come out and take a look at it. We've done soil testing to see what's needed to help that orchard flourish, because those pecans were planted for 7 years with no growth. For 7 years, they were stagnant. So things like that, like, we're trying to get a handle on this. We want to help whoever we can. We want to make sure they're getting what they need and that they're making progress, because this property is going to be passed down for generations to come. So we want to take advantage of that now and do all the things we can do.
You know, that story makes me think of all of the other landowners who are sitting in a city somewhere and either they have no idea that they have such a valuable asset in their family, or they know that they have the asset, but they have no idea what to do with it. And so hopefully listening to stories like this one inspires people to learn about the land in their family, and then to hopefully reach out to, unfortunately, not every state in the U.S. is lucky enough to have an SFLR program yet.
I know.
But the work that you're doing is so important in helping landowners close those gaps. So you've been working with landowners for almost 8-9 years now?
Yeah.
So what trends have you noticed in how minority landowners view and manage their land?
So our slogan for our SFLR program in Georgia is land as an asset and not a liability. So what we've noticed is landowners or farmers view their asset as a liability. So what we work on is changing that mindset to, like, hey, you own land and land is valuable. They're not making any more of it. This is an asset. So what we try to work on internally as an organization is how can we shift the mindsets of our enrolled landowners? What can we do to make them see that their land that they own, their family land, is a valuable piece, and it's not a liability. They're not just paying taxes on it. They own something that's very valuable. So now we need to try to make that land work for them. Because another thing that we say, and this comes from Miss Cheryl, she states that we work for the land. We work to pay the taxes. We work to make sure it is in the best upkeeping. How can we make that land work for us now? What can we do? So we feel like our position as an organization is to figure out how can we help, or how can we make that land work for the landowners and their good. So that's what we do. So we try to shift those mindset, and we find ways to generate revenue, because again, it's an asset. Let's use it as one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I know that one of the ways McIntosh Seed is helping to shift those mindsets for landowners is through your community forest.
Yes.
And so, can you describe the community forest in a lot of detail for listeners?
Yes, McIntosh Seeds owns an 1,148-acre community forest. It is now completely paid off. It's the third largest Black-owned community forest in the state, or nationally, I believe. It is a beautiful site where we have an archery range. We have street labels with different names to people who mean a lot to McIntosh Seed and the staffing. It's just an area where you can go out there, let your hair down, you can breathe. We also host educational workshops out there for landowners and the next generation of landowners. So we do different workshops and trainings where we do tree measuring, tree identification, compass and pacing, drone training out there. But we have different stands where we have mature timber, where we have stands where it's completely cleared and getting prepared for site preparation. We use it as a demonstration site for our landowners because a lot of this is new to them. We are trying to expose the next generation to forestry and agriculture and just expose them to or showcase the many opportunities in the forestry field and the agriculture field. Because I remember growing up, I was not interested in forestry. That's why it's so shocking that I'm doing this work because I always thought of forestry as being outside and in the dirt. And that's because I wasn't aware of the opportunities. You go to school, you learn about these things, but sometimes it goes in one ear and out the other. That's why we are here as a network to expose the next generation of farmers and landowners like, hey, you don't always have to be outside to work in forestry or agriculture. You can be in-house. You can work with USDA. There are government-funded jobs or opportunities for you. So we like to use that community forest as a demonstration site or a learning lab for the next generation and our enrolled participants, landowners and farmers and things like that.
Now I'm trying to figure out how I can come visit because I don't think I got to
Yes,
see the forest last time I was
please.
there. We got to come visit.
And we'll plan it out. We have UTVs now, so we can maneuver out there. We could navigate through because it's huge.
Yeah, I know. I didn't know it was so big.
Yes. So we have UTVs, ATVs to be able to get out there, and navigate the community forest.
Oh, that's incredible. So, what has been the reaction from students and parents to your outreach efforts, especially those that are geared towards helping young people understand the opportunity in forestry?
Oh, yeah. Well, they're all for it. Even the schools, they're like, when can you all do another career day tour? Because we've started doing those career day tours. Mr. John Littles always pushes us as a staff of McIntosh Seed to be creative and innovative. So I was like, how can I get these students to be engaged into forestry or agriculture? So we implemented like this career day tour where we partner with local schools. We gather up on a school bus and we travel to the nearest agencies or organizations or companies like the Farm Service Agency, the Georgia Forestry Commission, the NRCS office, paper mills, timber mills. So we've incorporated that to get engagement. But the parents, they are all for it and they're looking for opportunities to get their children involved.
Great. Can you share an example of how one of your programs has inspired a young person to pursue a career in forestry?
The last career day tour that we did, we just asked general questions to the students like, hey, what are your plans after high school? Any plans for college? And I'm telling you, Bethany, 90% of the students said no college. And I will share this. After our career day tour, one student was like, I never realized all of the opportunities that were available to me through forestry or through agriculture. I had a conversation with their forestry teacher and they were going to try to figure out some things. But it's just to say, like, this new generation, they want to go into trades, but they're not exposed. So if we can at least give them that exposure to forestry or to ag, maybe we'll have that small impact.
Yeah, I do think that exposure is so important for kids to see people who look like them
Right.
doing work outside, working with trees, working in the soil. I know that McIntosh Seed has a really robust cattlemen's program.
Yep.
So, like,
Yep.
yes, you can be a rancher, you can own cattle, you can raise and sell it and make a good living for yourself and your
Exactly.
family and do it in relationship with the land and with your communities. That exposure is really important. And it excites me every time I hear you and your
Yeah.
team discuss it.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
It's great.
It is.
So I'm curious to know, what are some of the biggest challenges your organization faces in achieving its mission? You do a lot of great work, and I know it's not easy all the time. So what are some of the challenges that you're navigating as an organization?
Trust. Trust is, I would say, the big challenge because the people that we work with, majority of them are people of color, and they have trust issues because we work a lot with the USDA. For years, African Americans were left behind with assistance through USDA, but now there are programs through USDA wanting to support minority African American landowners. So when we bring that to them, it's like, we don't work with USDA. And if it's not them, it was like, well, my grandparents told me not to work with USDA. So it's building that trust and bridging the gap between USDA and our enrolled participant. I believe, to me, that's our biggest challenge. But we do it so gracefully because I've created so many great relationships with all of my landowners enrolled in the program. And I look at them as family. I don't look at it as a transaction or a business, like, hey, I'm just doing this because it's my job or it's a deliverable I have to get checked off. No, I genuinely want to see you and your family retain your land for years and years or for generations. So I'm here for you. And I've created these great relationships with people that I check on daily, even if, their timber is right now, it's just growing. So it's not anything for them to do right now. But it's like, hey, I need to check on you. How are you? I haven't heard from you in like a day. What is going on? So the challenge is building that trust. But once that trust is built, it's like we're family. And they know that McIntosh Seed, they want to see us succeed as a family. They want to see us retain our land for generations to come.
Yeah, yeah. As the one who is responsible for reporting at McIntosh Seed, how do you measure the long-term success of your programs?
I set goals for myself because I want to make sure I'm continuously making an impact and not just doing the work just to be doing it, not just holding meetings or webinars just to say that we're doing it. So I genuinely do like an outline of like workshops I want to do, but why I want to do it and how is it going to get done? What is the impact that's going to be made receiving it from a landowner? What do I want them to gain out of these trainings or out of these workshops? So I typically just set goals for myself to make sure, that I'm continuing to make an impact, that I'm continuing to provide the outreach and education to the landowners that I target.
Yeah. What lessons have you learned since joining McIntosh Seed in 2017?
Lessons. To go at the pace of the landowner. Some people may feel like they're ready starting off, and then they notice, like, oh, wow, I got to find a deed. I got to find the plat. I have to complete this application or talk to these forestry professionals. I'm not sure if I'm ready for that. So I've known to just slow down and go at the pace of the landowner because, again, we want to build that relationship. We want them to know that we are here for you and we are here to make sure you and your family succeed as a landowner or as a farmer. If I'm going too fast, let me know. If you want to slow things down, if we need to take a pause, I am just here to make sure you get the assistance that you need. So that's been one of my biggest lessons is just go at the pace because I'm all about relationship building. I mentioned earlier, it's not a transaction to me. It's to make sure my family is good and taken care of. So that's one of my lessons that I've learned.
What advice would you give to someone interested in a career in forestry or agriculture?
I think it would be to evaluate yourself as a person. If you want something for yourself, take that times 10 for the landowner that you're servicing. So put them, above all else, because again, you're wanting to make that impact. You wanted to see them retain their land for the next generation. Evaluate yourself as a person, as a forester or a forest practitioner, and just be like, hey, if I want this for myself, I want to strive for greater for this landowner that I'm assisting. It's all about that impact. I always say it because I'm so passionate about it and it means so much to me. Just thinking about the days with slavery and how our ancestors had to fight to keep the land that we do have today. So it's just evaluate yourself and like, hey, if you want to push hard for yourself, let's push harder for that landowner or for that farmer.
What do you hope to see for the future of forestry in African American and minority communities?
I would hope to see different opportunities to generate revenue. I know that they're working on it. I know that they're doing science studies on tree species to see how the timber can grow at a faster rate and different things like that. I know they're working a lot on carbon and carbon sequestration. But yeah, how can we keep those topics in our communities, our minority communities, and how can we continue to generate revenue in minority communities? What are the unique opportunities? It shouldn't be a one-size-fits-all. It shouldn't just be you grow trees for 20 years, you get to cut those trees, because a lot of the times it's our elders who own this property and they're getting it prepared for the next generation. Okay, but what are the unique opportunities for us? What can we do to generate some revenue for our families?
That's great.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Tyrah.
Thank you, Bethany, for having me. This was amazing. I hope it impacts people across the world and that we could keep this work moving.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to Roots to Resilience. Tyrah's passion for making an impact on Georgia's landowners is evident in every conversation she has and every program she supports. Her work with McIntosh SEED is not only about sustainable forestry, it's about generational empowerment and community transformation. We hope her journey inspires you to explore how your passions can create lasting change. That's all for this episode with Tyrah Littles, Outreach Manager for McIntosh SEED. Until next time, thank you for listening to Roots to Resilience. Roots to Resilience is a sustainable forestry and African American land retention network podcast. Our senior producer is Ivana Tucker. Our engineers are Asia Simpson and Jacob Winnick. Our executive producers are Melise Toussaint and Eliza Smith. This podcast was produced in collaboration with Cascade Advisory and Cosmic Standard. For more information about our work at SFLR Network, check us out at sflrnetwork.org and be sure to sign up for our email newsletter. Special thanks to our network sites and to the American Forest Foundation for supporting the podcast. This material is also based upon work supported by the U.S. Department of Agriculture. Any opinions, findings, conclusions, or recommendations expressed in this publication are those of the authors and do not necessarily reflect the views of the U.S. Department of Agriculture or of our other sponsors. In addition, any reference to specific brands or types of products or services does not constitute or imply an endorsement for those products or services. I'm your host, Bethany Wilkinson, signing out.